Hello, hello, I'm Sophie. Welcome to my channel. I have recently read a few books that were languishing on my bedside TBR pile, and I'm going to tell you about it.
Bibliosophie.
I have accrued a sizable pile or couple of piles of books next to my bed, as is so often the case. Pile 1, Pile 2, and I feel that it would be delightful if I could move them, i.e. move through them, put away the ones that I've actually already read, and maybe actually read the ones that I have been reading for sometimes months and months and months. So first of all, let's go through the ones that I've already read and I could actually put away. Ernaux, Les Années, The Years, I have not read, and I think I could very much see myself reading this soon-ish, so I'm going to keep this next to my bed and have it as a contender soon. Eve Babitz, Slow Days, Fast Company, The World, The Flesh, NLA. I read, I guess, in December, January. Recommend it. I can put this guy away. Yuri, Herrea, Signs Preceding the End of the World. Read it at the end of last year. Also really liked it. Can put it away. Ali Smith, Artful. Lacking a dust cover because I get a lot of books from secondhand stores. Already read it. Really liked it. Can put it away. Mary Wollstonecraft. Her letters of short residence in Sweden, which are her kind of journal entries, from Scandinavia. Read, liked, I think it made my top books of 2021 list. I have not read the William Godwin that this is accompanied by, but I don't think I'm going to read that for a while, so I'm going to put that away. The Essential Gwendolyn Brooks, I have not read. I've been kind of going through in little drips and drabs regularly. I really love her poetry. I'm going to definitely keep this on my side of the bed, but I don't feel like I have to finish it anytime soon. I like to read poetry collections in just bits. So this is going to stay. Similarly, Passion by June Jordan. I just recently got this and I have really enjoyed dipping into it, but again, don't feel like I need to finish it all in one go, but it's staying. I actually just added Sister Outsider to the side of the bed by Audre Lorde. I was the other night reading a couple of the essays and speeches. I think it'd be great if I finished this actually pretty soon. Definitely staying next to the bed. I've read some of these before, would love to read them all. Will stay and may or may not be finished. Tiny Moons, which I started, I guess during the summer. I ordered it and started it this summer, but then actually never read it fully. By Mingya, Powles, and I adored what I read of it. It made me hungry, which is literally what everybody warns you against, or promises. Yeah, you know what? It's gonna stay. I'm not doing a very good job removing the things that, but you know. Clarice, Lispector, The Hour of the Star, which I got several months ago, never read yet. It's super short. Yeah, I think I'm going to keep it next to the bed and see if I can't get into it. The Sitwells, a family's biography by John Pearson. I started this summer, stole it from my mother's house in France. I'm actually a good chunk of the way through it. I think I'm going to put this aside for now. Very interesting, but I don't think I'm going to be reading it right now. Entangled Life by Merlin Sheldrake. I think I really should read this quite soon because I've wanted to read it since it came out, since I read about it in the New Yorker almost 2 years ago at this point. Yeah, I think let's try to read this in the next few weeks. This is not a book, this is a journal. It can stay, I guess. Aha! The Loft Generation by Edith Schloss. I do want to read this. I don't think I'm going to read it quite yet, maybe. So I think maybe this is going to go with the Sitwells. Octavia Butler. I read Kindred at the end of 2021. I don't think I'm going to read Fledgling anytime soon or any of the other stories, so I think I'm going to put this back in the shelves. And, you know, these are available to me. I can come back here. And finally, we've got a cookbook, which is not even mine. A friend lent me this a year and a half ago or something. He's holding on to my Nigel Slater. I have basically kidnapped this book. I should actually use it more, especially now that we're very close to spring. I do enjoy reading it before bed, so that's gonna stay in your bed. This is good, this is good. I have 2 that are as yet unfinished or unread that are gonna go back in the shelves. I have 4, 5 that are finished, or as finished as they're going to be for now, that are going to go back into the shelves. And I've trimmed down my bedside reading a little bit. To just these, you know, I think this is a pretty good, modest array for the modern girl. Okay, not so bad. Let's see if I can at least get through 1 or 2 of these in the next couple of weeks. Project begun. It's been about 3 weeks since I filmed my first video introducing this delightful project, so maybe I should give you a little bit of an update. Plus I can give you a look at my very subtle makeup look for today. I mentioned this in my March wrap-up that I filmed just last week, but I finished The Hour of the Star and Entangled Life, so go to that video for a small summary / review. Enjoyed both of them. About fungi nonfiction, about a writer who is writing about a young, unfortunate woman in poverty in Brazil. But I want to share just a little bit of citation from both of them. This is extremely metafictional, and the whole introduction is kind of ironically about how this author is going to be kind of writing as simply as possible, but it is not simple at all. It's actually a very twisty sort of introduction to the story, and it takes a significant percentage of a very short book to actually get to what the book is supposed to be, what it purports to be about. But of course, the book is also about the act of writing. And something that stuck out to me is I seem to know the most intimate details about this girl from the Northeast because I live with her. And since I have discovered almost everything about her, she has clung to my skin like some viscous glue or contaminating mud. I love that image of somebody's self just contaminating you. And actually, as I say this, it's not unlike the kind of symbiotic relationships that are talked about a lot and also sometimes parasitic, but the lack of boundaries between organisms in the wonderful world of fungi. So just by talking to you, I made that little connection. There are a lot of nice kind of extra biological thoughts that emerge out of Sheldrake's book. But one thing that I really liked that has a big bearing on me as an artist, actually, is the concept of things thinging. And instead of summarizing, I figure I could just read a part of a paragraph, because he already did it for me. The biologist Robin Wall Kimmerer, a member of the citizen Potawatomi Nation, observes that the indigenous Potawatomi language is rich in verb forms that attribute aliveness to the more than human world. The word for hill, for example, is a verb, to be a hill. Hills are always in the process of hilling. They are actively being hills. Equipped with this grammar of animacy, it is possible to talk about the life of other organisms without either reducing them to an it or borrowing concepts traditionally reserved for humans. By contrast, in English, writes Kimmerer, there is no way to recognize the simple existence of another living being. If you're not a human subject, by default, you're an inanimate object, an it, a mere thing. If you repurpose a human concept to help make sense of the life of a non-human organism, you've tumbled into the trap of anthropomorphism. Use it, and you've objectified the organism and fallen into a different kind of trap. And this is something I've been encountering increasingly in all sorts of texts, actually, some musicology texts as well, but kind of changing the border between itness and aliveness and subject, object. So this is something that's really on my mind a lot as a person, as a member of a biome, and also as I said, very much an artist, and what it means to be an artist, to do a thing, and I think that is for a lot of people, what it means to the action of being in a lot of ways. Otherwise, beyond those two that I already finished a little bit ago, I'm very nearly done with reading the entirety of Sister Outsider. So glad that I'm rereading some of the essays that I have not written, that I've read in the past. This collection contains absolute bangers like Poetry is Not a Luxury, The Master's Tools Will Never Dismantle the Master's House, uses of the erotic, the uses of anger. So things that you have maybe come across either as their own short essays or as references in other works. This is such an important work of feminism, intersectional feminism, commentary on racism, on classism, and not all of it is absolutely perfectly aged or super relevant. I mean, certainly not super relevant to me, but that's not what it's meant to be. That's kind of the point. But it's incredible and unsurprising just how much Audre Lorde's perspective from the 70s and 80s ages so much better than her contemporary white feminists. It's almost as if when you acknowledge a broader array of viewpoints and you're intersectional, your thought processes don't age poorly as much and are not suspect even at the time. She does some good calling out of white feminists, in fact. So it's not like we just discovered intersectionality now. We just discovered it, but people have been talking about it for a really long time. There are also a couple of essays that I'd never read before. I discovered, looking back, is that what it's called? Learning from the 60s, which is a really short essay, and I'd never read it before. So plan to finish this probably today. In fact, I also have Roxane Gay's collection of Audre Lorde, so there's a little bit of overlap. There's also a lot of her poetry in here, some more of her essays. So I've been dipping into this one for the past couple of years as well. Continue to read some Audre Lorde. Do it. You gotta. I've also more or less finished going through this short collection, this overview of Gwendolyn Brooks, the essential Gwendolyn Brooks, and it's a very, very short tome that covers really all of her career. And even though I said that I wouldn't read it cover to cover, I sort of have been, which has been nice. It's not a collection unto itself, but I also want to share a little piece from this, also that I've been thinking about as an artist and as an art consumer. This is part of 2 dedications. Does man love art? Man visits art, but squirms. Art hurts. Art urges voyages, and it is easier to stay at home, the nice beer ready. In common rooms, we belch or sniff or scratch, are raw. But we must cook ourselves and style ourselves for art, who is a requiring courtesan. We squirm. We do not hug the Mona Lisa. We may touch or tolerate an astounding fountain or a horse and rider, at most another lion. Observe the tall cold of a flower, which is as innocent and as guilty, as meaningful and as meaningless as any other flower in the western field. I'm going to probably finish this also in the next couple of days. And I'm glad that I actually am reading it more cover to cover than I planned to. And probably before I wrap up this video, I will read this coming week and in the week that follows Tiny Moons, because I think I could use the comfort. I had some dumplings, some delicious dumplings just yesterday, and it put me in the mood to read about food. So I'll check in again in a few days, wrap this up, but it's been a really successful little reading journey, I think. Ciao.
By the way, lest you be sad that the bedside has no more reading material, we'll be fine. Like, truly, truly fine.
Okay, once again, I'm about to run out to go see a show because it's a weekend evening, and of course I've decided to record myself at this time. Who can say why? I'm very nearly done with Tiny Moons by Mingya Powles, A Year of Eating in Shanghai. The author is of Chinese and of Malaysian heritage, but was born in New Zealand, so this is partially a book about her connecting or reconnecting with parts of her roots, parts of herself, her family, her childhood memories, exploring comfort food, and of course exploring food. So it's sort of a combination of gastro-tourism, but also this very poetic exploration of memory and family and home, etc., etc. I bookmarked a short little paragraph because I found it extremely relatable. Each time I'm at a new eatery where the menu is only in Chinese, I take a picture of it on my phone and look up the words I don't know later. This is how I discover new ways to eat. I've definitely done that. I've definitely done that in China because I am essentially illiterate in simplified Chinese or any other kind. And yeah, it is such a familiar feeling of having that curiosity and this like constant need to be researching as you go along, but this beautiful exploration that gets opened up as a result of doing the homework of taking photos, and Google Translate does a really good job of identifying signs, so that's my travel tip to you. Yeah, so I'm gonna wrap this up. It was a really successful experiment. It was a very successful attempt to at least cull some of my TBR pile. I read several books that have been kind of desperately waiting for me to read them, and I'm very glad I did. So my pile of bedside table books are still growing again. They tend to do that, but till the next time. Ciao. Well, I was too lazy to shut it off, and then also I'm gonna take my little thumbnail still. If I can lift these books.